Ashley. I am with My Black Mommy Magic, which is my brand where I give everyday inspiration from a Black mother and law student, as well as reach out to friends and other Black mothers to share their story and hopefully inspire and motivate and just celebrate Black motherhood in general. So today I have a very, very, very special and patient guest. And it is Miss Brandi Spires. And just quickly, Brandi, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. So I'm Brandi. I'm married to Jasper. You know, we both met at USM. We've been married for almost 4 years. Been together for I think almost 8 now. Oh my goodness. We have one daughter. I'm originally from Tylertown. I'm giving all my business right now. Yes, I'm originally from Tylertown, small city in the state of Mississippi. I am the creator, owner, founder, whatever you want to call it, of Be Inspired. And I think we may talk about that a little bit more, but yes, Be Inspired is my brand. You can follow me on Facebook and you can follow me on Instagram.
Okay, so we're going to be sure to post that as well. But Brandi is here today to talk with us about her experience with postpartum depression. And the goal of this Mommy Monday is really to just create awareness, to be sure that we kind of like normalize like what that experience is, so that people or mothers are more likely to be able to see, the signs of it and really get help if they need help, and not be afraid to reach out or feel like, oh, this is only happening to me. So that's the goal today. For those who don't know, Brandi, could you tell us what postpartum depression is?
Well, postpartum depression is basically just a hormone shift, but it definitely affects your mood, your sleep, your thoughts, just your entire mental state. And it just causes a lot of like severe depression. So if you're familiar with depression, it's like severe depression, and it's almost something that you just, it's hard to get out of. And it typically lasts, I would say on average about 3 to 4 months, honestly, for, a mom that goes through that. And then, you have what you call baby blues, and baby blues is typically like within the first weeks after you've had the baby, but it's, it goes away. Like, you feel tired, you feel exhausted, when you just feel like, oh my God, it's, like my life is changing. But, you learn to adapt to, what's going on. But that postpartum depression is going to linger. And trust me, you're going to know if you have it or not. So.
I read that like 1 in 9 new mothers experience postpartum depression. I mean, I feel like that number is like in itself is why this conversation is so important, because it happens.
It definitely happens. And you know what? I remember when I went to my stepmom's house and we were just talking and, just hanging out. And she, was just going through the list. She said, and postpartum depression is real. And I was like, wow, and I've talked to people who've been through it, and I don't want to, tell their stories. Their stories for them to tell. But, I just didn't think it was going to happen to me, like I've dealt with, anxiety and some depression, throughout my life, but I just didn't expect to deal with postpartum depression. I just didn't. But it's definitely, it needs to be talked about more, because I feel like part of the reason why people don't want to talk about it is because they feel embarrassed, and because of that thing that you did say, like, oh, people are going to talk about me because I have postpartum depression, going to lock me up in some mental institution, because I want to harm my baby or harm myself. That's not always the case.
Right. And so there are different things that make a woman's risk higher to get postpartum. There are, of course, symptoms that you can look out for. And also, like, there's treatment to help you get past it. So first, let's kind of talk about the risk. Now, as I was again researching, I was seeing that some of the risks were like personal history or family history of depression, if not having support from family and friends. Maybe you were depressed during your pregnancy or had problems with your pregnancy. Age, like being young, can affect it, or having difficulties breastfeeding or having a unplanned or unwanted pregnancy are all like ways that you have like a higher risk of getting postpartum depression. So can we talk about that? Do you feel that there were any that you experienced any of these risks that kind of made you kind of a little more predisposed to it, or maybe
Yeah,
triggered it for you?
absolutely. Like I said before, I have dealt with some depression within my life. Then when it talked about being depressed during pregnancy, I was depressed during pregnancy because I'm an independent person. I'm loud, I'm outgoing, I'm always the life of the party. And then, I just felt because I was so sick, I was sick like the first 16 weeks, 15, 16 weeks of my pregnancy. That's 4 months. You know what I'm saying? That I'm not able to be completely myself. And that was just really, really hard for me. Like I felt helpless and I hated to have to depend on somebody. Um, so that, and then, that the pups thing kind of happened like way towards the end, like right when I was getting ready to deliver my child, but definitely those risks. And then I felt during my pregnancy, I had support, but after I had Kristen, I will say that I expected to have a little bit more support than I had. So for the most part, besides Jasper, like I really like for me, I felt like alone. I really did. And that's just my truth.
Right.
I felt so.
And all of that, I think, can, as we talked about, all of that just kind of plays. It might not be one thing, and it might not be that you were just totally alone, but even a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there does kind of add up, and kind of, I can see how that can really build up and cause that type of feeling. We talked a little bit about your pregnancy, but let's also talk about your actual birthing experience, and
Mhm.
any things that you were, as far as breastfeeding, and how that all went following your birthing experience.
So I did want to breastfeed, and I'll come back to that in just a second. My birthing experience, like labor and delivery, no issues whatsoever. I had a wonderful doctor deliver my baby. The staff, the team was just really good, and I thank God for that because I prayed for that throughout my entire pregnancy. I journaled throughout my entire pregnancy. And it was really, really good. The only thing that I didn't like was that they had me laying, directly on my back. I did not like that. Because I had done research and it says that it kind of slows down labor.
Right.
So, I'm just like, at this point, let's just get this girl here, you know. So yeah, I did want to breastfeed, but it did not happen for me. My body just did not produce the way that I thought it was going to produce. And if you know me, I'm very, like, I live a very healthy lifestyle. So I was actually very quite surprised. But because I also think my postpartum depression played a part in it because I was depressed. I didn't want to eat. And you have to eat. You have to feed your body in order to feed your child. You have to drink water and, make sure that you're eating. So, you know what I'm saying? So you can give your baby the healthy nutrients that you're putting inside your body, but it just didn't happen that way. And, and so I think I ended up breastfeeding her, or if that's what you want to call it, for like 2 weeks. And then I had to go and get on some medication because my anxiety was about to drive me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So it was crazy.
Yeah, I know that when you first being a first time mom, like you were in that situation, I only have one as well. So I can imagine that the anxiety, and I feel too, the anxiety of bringing home a new baby and how that kind of like plays a role. We also talked briefly about triggers And I think that, and some of the triggers for it, of course, is that hormonal change. You know, we have that hormonal change that causes that. But also, like, just being tired after labor and delivery, a lack of sleep, broken sleep, being overwhelmed with a new baby, doubt about your ability to be a good mother was on the list. Stress from the changes at work or your home routine, an unrealistic need to be a perfect mom, feeling less attractive, and a lack of free time. And so, yeah, yeah. And so, just from our previous conversation with you, I know that some of those triggers were present for you. So, can you tell us about some of the triggers that you experienced for your postpartum depression?
Some of the big ones, the main ones that stood out was lack of sleep. I'm a sleeper, okay? I'm a Capricorn. I love my sleep and I do not like for it to be interrupted for no reason whatsoever. And having a baby, I have no control over that. And I knew that would be my biggest hurdle. Like, out of everything else, I knew lack of sleep would be my biggest hurdle. And with that, lack of sleep comes irritability, you mad, but you know what I'm saying? Then I'm not eating and I'm not sleeping. Oh, honey. And then trying to adjust to having an entire human being here. And so, Jasper, because they don't give men paternity leave like they should here in America, and or maybe it's Mississippi. And he had to go back to work after 1 week. So I was here by myself with Chris and just looking like, oh, hey, girl. Hey. So that was a big adjustment. And then the other one that you said was, feeling unattractive. I mean, that was a big one. That's still a struggle. Because, and I think I mentioned this in our first conversation, that women do not talk about some of the resentment they have toward, I'll just speak for me. I can't speak for all women, but me personally, like, I was mad at my husband because I'm just like, your body did not have to go through these changes. You did not have to sacrifice this, that, and the other. You did not have to eat certain things to make sure, the baby was healthy. Like, all you had to do was get up and continue living your life and, maybe help financially and show up to a doctor's appointment. But, my entire body, my like everything had to go through a change. And baby, this body still ain't right. But it's okay.
I mean, to carry an entire human being, like, when you actually think about the process of birth in general, I mean, it is actually amazing. Like, it's amazing. The concept of it all is so amazing. And we've talked about this, that, like, there is a pressure from the moment that you find out that you're pregnant to really, like, protect and like you said, everything changes. It's like a heightened whatever. It's like, I can't just eat right for me, or like whatever I do doesn't just affect me, it affects a whole little person too. And so that can just be, I'm sure, well, yeah, we all feel it. Like, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot to that.
A whole lot. I was just mad, Ashley. Like, I'm just like, even when it came to maybe just going out, to a bar, like, I can't go to no, even though I'm not drinking, I can't go to no bar, or at least that's what society says. Maybe I could have gone to a bar. Maybe that's us. Maybe that's the stigma with that. Mm-hmm. But clearly it is, because I feel like, come on, man. Really got a whole baby.
People gonna me like, what's she doing in
here? Exactly.
So, okay, so let's talk about, like, how your symptoms manifested, and at what point did you realize, hey, something is different? And if you could start with, like, your actual, like, once you had Kristen, like, how you felt then, and kind of walk us through it.
So once I had Kristen, there was no initial, like, no, I didn't have that. It actually took a couple of months for me to get there. Honestly, it took about, if I'm honest, it probably took about 3 or 4 months for me to really get there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just like, here this girl go, come, not like interrupting my life, but just like I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right. Right.
Really quick. And just not having, I feel like I just did not have the guidance or the support that I really thought that I was gonna have once I had my baby.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big thing for me. And then I was just once I came home, and it really hits you when you get home. If you're a first time mom, or you know what I mean, when you bring that baby home, you just like, well, here we go.
Hey, just to interject, I'll say, because especially if you have a good hospital,
Yeah.
I low key didn't want to come home from the hospital. Like, off the chain. I was like, they come in here and feed us, and it's good food too. Like, not like whack stuff, like little hamburgers or little sandwiches or something. It's like, and like good meals. Yeah, girl. Like I was like, okay, we gotta leave. Like, y'all want us to stay a couple more days. You got constant support nurses, so if you're nervous, you can call them at any time and ask them a question. Like, I definitely yes, first time moms, that getting home is like a reality check.
And you know what? When somebody told me that, this was when I was I still in college, so I definitely was thinking about a baby. And she told me, she was like, "Girl, when I brought him home, I was just like, I was like, oh, okay." And then it happened to me. I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's what she was talking about. Yeah, yeah.
I did not have that initial like, "Oh my God, I'm so in love,"
Mm-hmm.
and I just would find myself crying, like when I would hold her. And then she wanted to be held all the time. Now that I know better, I'm knowing now that the baby is just adjusting just like I'm adjusting. Because it's just like, I've been in this dark hole chilling all this time, cuddled up in my womb.
Yeah.
And you got in these streets like this, like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And now I know better. Yeah, it's an adjustment for them too. So I know better now. But that was really hard. And so it just kind of like really, really hit me because I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. And I was very anxious. I thought something was going to happen to her. I thought something was going to happen to me. And that's what I was telling you with our first conversation. Postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, like they kind of go hand in hand, but people really don't talk about postpartum anxiety at all. But I had it bad. Like you cannot tell me that nothing was gonna happen to me because I went to the emergency room a couple of times. Like I'm like, no, this is definitely it. Like, no,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be.
After you had her, you went to the emergency room?
Yes. Yes. Yes, because I was just like, what is going on? And then, my epidural only worked on one side. And so I was just like, no, these people are trying to kill me. Here we go, another black mom. But, I was just like, that's crazy.
No.
But I was, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely crazy. So, no, I think that the nurse, so when I left the hospital, the nurses were like, yeah, you can call in, call back to labor and delivery if you have questions and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I know that they like hated that they told me that because within the like hour of me being home, I had probably already called them like 5 times. Like they were like, oh, please. Like this is in. Yeah, but it is like it's so much pressure and it's so much to you have to keep a human alive and you've never been responsible for that before. So it definitely is a lot. Okay, so how did your symptoms continue, and did you talk to anyone about how you were feeling?
Definitely didn't talk to anybody. My symptoms pretty much stayed the same. So, like I said, 2 weeks after I had Chris, and I went and got back on my anxiety medication before I drove me and everybody around me absolutely nuts. And they settled, but the depression was still there. So I was calm. I was more calm with my thoughts and all of that. And, just, being a little bit more kind of feeling like, I guess, I don't know, like at ease. but the sadness and the depression of still like from the pressure, I guess, of wanting to be like the perfect mom, which is definitely like not a thing. That was just there, and I don't know, it was just, I can't even explain it. Like, I really can't even explain it. I just know I was crying a lot. And I just felt like I just really felt alone. And I was in denial. You know how they have those surveys? Like they have, I don't know, like most first time moms download all these apps. And so after you have the baby, they have these surveys, and I would take them, and it was say that I was dealing with postpartum. I was like, Jeff, please, like, stop it. I did it like maybe 3 times, and they all said the same thing. I'm just like, maybe I should listen, but I'm not. Okay. I was like, I'm not accepting this. Like, absolutely. Yeah, your girl was definitely dealing with some postpartum depression, and I didn't want to hurt Kristen or anything like that. But I will say this, not to justify, but now, being a first time mom going through postpartum depression, I'm more not understanding, but like when I hear stories of people doing extreme things to their babies, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
you know, it's not surprising because, you know, I thought I was going nuts.
Right.
Crazy. So yeah.
Those feelings, and especially if you don't have anybody to talk to about it, or you don't, you know, feel comfortable reaching out or anything like that. And I know you talked about, or I know that you are a therapist, and so do you feel like being a therapist like made you more aware, like, hey, this is probably what this is? And if so, do you think it's maybe just your denial that kind of kept you from really getting treatment?
It definitely didn't. Lord, 8 years of experience, but it did not make me be like, oh, I'm dealing with this. However, it did make me realize something was not right. And that's why I went back in 2 weeks to get back on my medication, because I knew that, you know, my anxiety was all over the place. But I just stayed in denial. I was just in denial. And then I finally accepted it like 3 months later.
Okay.
And that's a long time, but 3 months later, I'm just like, okay. And the day that I accepted it is the day that I talked about it on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just, you know, got it out, and my inbox blew up because so many people deal with it. And I just feel like, you know what? I'm so glad I said something, because Black women are taught to shh, be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't tell nobody that. But I'm doing this and talked about it on my platform as well, because it needs to be talked about more. It needs to be normalized and just be like, hey, it's okay. I would rather you say something and reach out than for you to hurt yourself or to hurt your baby. Like, let's get some help. And yes, I was being a complete hypocrite because I was like, absolutely not. But I did eventually, I talked to a therapist. Like, that led me to get a freaking therapist. Yes, I'm a therapist with a therapist. It's actually really good for people to have therapists, including other people. Isn't that amazing?
Because you're a therapist don't mean that you superhuman,
Exactly.
It's a person too, like, that goes through things and, things like that. So for sure, like, I am so glad, and it's so empowering or just like inspiring to think that your want to share and be so open is what allowed you to help so many people. Like, when you said that, I literally got chills on my arm, because I know how that is to be like, feel seen through somebody and really like connect in that way and be like, okay, well, I'm not the only person dealing with this, thing. So I think that that is like completely awesome. I think that I've told you this, that one of the things that I admire so much about you is that you are extremely open, and I feel like unapologetic with who you are as a person. I think that is so awesome. And could you tell us like why you feel like it's important to be that way? and how you use that for your platform.
It's important for me because I've just been so misunderstood for so long, because I've always been the girl and now woman that always has something to say. And people didn't quite understand where I was coming from. It can be viewed as something different, you know what I'm saying, or as somebody that I'm actually not. It's just that, I have an opinion. And I also think it's important because, like I said, with the whole misunderstood thing, I grew up feeling misunderstood. And that's one of the reasons why I love being an adolescent therapist, because like my kids love me, because when I tell you I am an open book, there is nothing off limits, and I tell them that up front. And I just think it's important because people like real. People like to hear your struggle. Everybody wants to talk about successes and, oh, I got this and I got that. We can talk about that. It's nothing wrong with that. But how did you get there? I wasn't always this person. I wasn't always this Brandi that everybody sees. Like, I had to go through some things. I had to, hit my head a couple of times and get told, like, or get kicked off the basketball team, or lose my captain positions on the cheerleading squad and the basketball team with this mouth of mine, honey. But it's all for a purpose and a reason. Like, it just gels together and it all it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's very important. I use that for my platform because I talk about things that it may make you uncomfortable, or just things that people just are afraid to talk about. And I'm not afraid to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's have the conversation, Hence, I be talking. Right. So my platform is Be Inspired, and it's called Be Inspired because my name is Brandi. I go by B, with my cute little B that I got today. And and under that umbrella, I do have I Be Talking, and that's where I do my segments on Facebook Live every other Tuesday. I will be live tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm gonna be talking about. Sometimes I just get a topic right before and just go with it. And so yeah, you can follow me on Be Inspired, on Facebook, or on Instagram at B__inspired. And I drop quotes and just talk about stuff, that is just so relatable, mostly for women, but really just for everybody. Everybody needs a dose of inspiration these days. I mean, it's a lot going on. And then, I may even give you a laugh. Who knows?
Oh no, you give us plenty laughs. I don't know if you want to talk about Quisha. I don't know if
honey, Quisha is a mess. I had to bring her out of retirement.
I'm going to jump into a segment called Your Take. And what I want is your take on the 2020 Oscars. They rejected a postpartum ad, a very moving postpartum ad, saying that the ad was too graphic. So we're going to watch the ad really quickly. It's a very brief ad. And I want to get your take on, do you feel like it's too graphic? All righty. So I want to get your take. Like, how do you feel about that?
Man, every time I hear that the baby crying, like when I just hear it, I'm just like, "Ew." But boy, that right there is crazy. I mean, we live in a Kardashian world, and that says a lot. And you're telling me that you cannot play like a 1 minute and some change video of reality? That's actually real. You know what I'm saying? And like it said, you wonder why new moms are not prepared. And and that's why, I'm glad that you have your platform to talk about more things like this, because we need to be prepared, especially in the Black community. I was really like, when I first heard about this, I was like, oh, well, what were they talking about? So, I clicked it. I was like, really? That was it? Like, what's the issue? She wasn't naked. Like, boobs weren't hanging out. Like, I'm just like, stuff. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, no, that should have been played. I was mad. I was mad.
So, but Brandi, it's kids, they say. Kids are watching this and this is inappropriate. I don't want my kids to see this type of stuff. What do you say to that?
Kids are not watching the Oscars. They're boring. And then my thing is, like I said, why can't we be honest with kids?
Right.
We need to be honest. We need to let them know what's going on. And I think that's why kids are always, seeking information from their friends and the internet or all this other kind of stuff, and getting the wrong information and going about things the wrong way, because it starts at home. So if Kristen is at home with me and this comes on and she has a question, go ahead and watch. Okay, now we're about to have a discussion. What you got, girl? Let's talk about it. And I feel like we need to break that too, like that curse, like within, the Black mom and daughter home. I feel like, those types of conversations are not, things are like, it's tiptoed around, or it's a secret. Like, no, it's not a secret. Let's talk about it.
And
That's my take.
like, I think that sons need to understand that too, because one
yes, they really
are fathers and husbands, it's important for them to know and understand and really have an appreciation for that stuff. So, yeah.
I'm so glad you said that, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I feel like in society, so much pressure is put on women. It's put on girls, and it starts with baby dolls and how to care for this and do that, and you need to be this type of woman to be this for this type of man. Like, no, like, teach your sons the same thing. Teach them to act a certain way and to treat a woman, a certain way. So, Chad, I'm about to rant, but
that's the truth. Like, it's nothing. When I saw that, honestly, for the first time, because I didn't hear about it back when it happened, but I got chills because I was like, the accuracy, the act down to the exact type of bottle and spray and the little witch hazel pads, the little kind of tearing apart. Those were witch hazel pads, okay? Because it's a serious situation, okay? That you go through. Like, I mean, it really was. I was like, wow, this is extremely accurate, like extremely accurate depiction of how that whole thing works. And I think, too graphic was a interesting choice of words that that they would choose to use, because
right. It wasn't graphic.
How is that reality too graphic is very strange. So you guys too, like if you're here with us, you guys sound off in the comments and let us know how do you feel about the ad, and if you felt like it was too graphic, or that conversation needs to be had. So yeah, I think it's completely outrageous that they rejected that ad. Seems like you feel the same way. Let's see. And then what do you say when you think someone is showing signs of postpartum?
That's because I had this conversation with Jasper and I asked him, did he know? And
Mm-hmm.
he said he did. And so I honestly don't know, but I will say this. When my niece had her baby, I constantly asked her. I
Mm-hmm.
constantly asked different questions like, just about her emotions, how she's feeling and how she's doing with this. And that's now when I know people that have a baby, I ask them certain questions and like make and do it in a way that they'll feel comfortable. And even if they're not dealing, I'm just like, okay, because if you're feeling this way, then you should or you can come to me, just make myself available. Because I don't think nobody's just gonna come right out and be like, you know what, I'm suffering from postpartum depression. So it's
Right.
just all about like knowing the person that's had the baby, paying attention to like their body language, and I don't know, and just like making sure that you just keep in contact with them, check on them,
Mm-hmm.
check on them, be there. Don't say you're gonna be there and not be there. Be there, be supportive. Like I cannot say that enough. Be supportive.
Right. And I think too, I know that we all can be, especially if you're not aware of it, can be guilty of like asking about the baby, and everybody is so excited about the baby that like that's everybody's question, like how's the baby, and it's like, so I think that kind of what you're saying too is like we need to make sure that we're asking mama how she is too. Like that's an important question that people who are on the outside can do to really facilitate that conversation and allow her to think that somebody cares about how she is doing. So well, do you think that you should, if a person is kind of not aware of it, do you think you should flat out tell them like, hey, I think that you're suffering from this? Or like, what are your thoughts if somebody had said that to you? Like, what do you think you would have felt about that?
I would I because I didn't want to accept it and because I was in denial, I probably would have reacted in a not so nice way.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that's a good approach. I think it's just good to just ask questions. Like you said, ask the mom how she's doing. Does she need anything? Even if you just show up and just spend the day with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that is appreciated. And like I said, and because you're there and you're spending time, we're more than likely to engage in a conversation. And you know what I'm saying? It's about how you do it and how you ease into it. And it's also about the type of rapport that you have with that person too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes total sense. And would you recommend that person just talk to the mother that's suffering, that they feel like is suffering from postpartum? Should they just talk to them themselves, or should they encourage them to talk to a doctor about it?
I would encourage them, if they do tell you that they're dealing with it, I would, number one, offer my support, but also, yes, I would encourage them to go and talk to their doctor about it. And so, they can go ahead and get some type of treatment. You do not have to go to a mental institution. You do not. There are medications.
Say it one more time so that people are clear on that.
You do not have to go to a mental institution just because you're dealing with any type of mental illness.
So they're not going to take your baby.
They're not going to take your baby. They're not going to take you. They're not going to break up your happy home. None of that. They're just going to make sure that you're okay. And one thing that I didn't do, like when Kristen went for her appointment and I would go for my appointment, they constantly ask, so like they ask you a series of questions. Child, I lied. Don't lie. Just be honest. Just be honest so they can get you the help that you need. And even if it's just talking to someone, talk to somebody. Talking is healing. Journaling, like journal that that saved me throughout my pregnancy. But yeah, like just being able to release those feelings. And if you have to get on medication, it does not have to be forever. It does not have to be forever. It's just to, fix those imbalanced chemicals that's going on, and and get just get yourself together, and then after a while you'll be fine and you can get off of it. You can talk to your doctor about how to wean off of it. You don't have to get on like a controlled substance. Like, do not let these people put you on a controlled substance. Okay, you can get on something really, really mild. My pills are really, really mild, and I've been taking them since 2016. And then I got off of them, and then I got back on them 2 weeks after I had Kristen. So Okay, it's okay.
So
So follow Be Inspired on Facebook. It's just like that, BEE Inspired. And then on Instagram is BEE underscore inspired. And on, well, every other Tuesday. So I'll be going live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Who knows what I'll be talking about? I just know that, it's always juicy and it's always good and it's always real and raw, just like you saw tonight. I do not hold back, and bring your glasses if you want to have a drink, because I will.
that's an important part. One thing is there's always wine and
Yes,
fire on Tuesdays.
yes, I love to have a glass. Tomorrow I may have something. Who knows? Crown, champagne, wine. You just never know. However I'm feeling.
For sure. Yeah.
And just tune in, and if there's anything that you want to talk about, want to address, just shoot me a DM and let's get it popping. Let's talk about it. I'm ready.
So normally your topics range from what? What are your topics normally about?
Oh my goodness, I talked about everything from postpartum depression, my sexual assault story, living in my sister's shadow, being a woman in America, Lord, mental illness, just I literally talk about everything. I think and then like the LGBTQ ABC, so many letters, but the LGBTQ community, I'll talk about everything. Like there's nothing that's off limits for me. I talk about it all. I talk about
you had a really good conversation. I missed the beginning of it, but part of it was about friendships and growing out of friendships.
Oh yeah, I talked about that 2 weeks ago. Yes, that's real. That's a real thing. That is real.
And so I think I want people to get an idea of like all the type of things that you cover. I mean, it's really good conversations, y'all. So if you are not following Be Inspired, please do. The link is in the comments to or should be, and Brandy's gonna double check that I have it clickable.
Okay.
To follow and on Instagram as well. I'll end and say that if you're new here and you found your way here some sort of way, again, my name is Ashley. My Black Mommy Magic is my platform, and I try to create content like this, some kind of way to inspire or motivate, and just celebrate Black motherhood. So if you are interested in that type of content, please follow along at My Black Mommy Magic on Facebook, and the same on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you, Brandi. And catch you guys next time. Alrighty.
Bye.